How is it going, everyone? It's K Lumberty here, and today we are going to be talking about an original Game Boy game in all of its black and white glory. We are going to be talking about WWF Raw on the original Game Boy. I am a wrestling fan. I love wrestling. I did not grow up with this era of wrestling, but I still enjoy this era of wrestling. You know, I've gone back and I've watched these old matches and stuff like that, and I've seen the wrestlers from back then, and I have a lot of respect for them, and I really enjoy watching those matches still. And there's definitely some characters in here that I am very happy that I can play as. You have The Undertaker, which is probably my favorite character in the game, but you also have Shawn Michaels, you have Bret Hart, you have Diesel, you have Razor Ramon, you have Yokozuna, which is really cool. You have Doink the Clown, bit of an odd one to put in there if I'm being honest, but you just have a really fun cast of characters. You have Lex Luger. There's a lot of great characters in this game, and I will say this game is obviously very dated. You can tell by the gameplay that's on screen. This is a very dated video game. It is pretty slow. It is not insanely action-packed for a wrestling game. That being said, for what it is, it's actually not too terrible. This is really a button-mashing video game. A lot of the controls in this game actually revolve around just smashing the button repeatedly until you're able to pull off a move, and that is an actual feature. When I say this is a button masher, I mean this is legitimately a button masher. That is the whole point of the game. You do have a punch, you do have a kick, however, a lot of the stuff you're going to be doing is grapples. You're going to grapple your opponent, and you're going to be doing different moves, and the moves all depend on which button you are tapping. So if I start tapping one of the directional buttons, there's a move assigned to that button, and if I am able to tap the button fast enough, there's a gauge that will go into my direction, and if it does go all the way, then I will be able to perform that move on my opponent. So that is how the game works. It is all button mashing, it is a lot of grapples, and it is not the most exciting thing in the world. But that being said, considering the limitations of the Game Boy, it is kind of impressive that they were able to get this game to still work somewhat well. You know, it's not, again, there's way better games on the Game Boy. There's a lot of games that look a lot better than this. This is not very graphically impressive. They definitely didn't try any, special art style or anything to make this game stick out. But I will say, one thing they did really do a good job on with the Game Boy was actually transferring the WWE theme songs into this game. Like, you can hear the Undertaker's theme song whenever you win, and hearing that chiptune kind of style of his theme song was actually pretty cool. So I will give them credit for that. They did a great job with the music in this game, and that was pretty surprising. And honestly, the actual sound effects other than just the music aren't too bad either, but I really did actually like it, and I enjoyed hearing the music, and that was something I always looked forward to, was whenever I won a match, just hearing the chiptune music of whatever superstar I was playing as. So I did like that, and they did a really good job transferring that over. Unfortunately, that gameplay is still it's lacking quite a bit. I will say, I was surprised that I could even go to the top rope. That was kind of neat. I could go to the top rope and, jump off of it and try to land on my opponent. That was kind of cool. You can run against the ropes and, try to drop kick your opponent that way too. That's kind of cool. You can do a senton bomb onto them and stuff like that. So yeah, there is some moves here. There's a decent amount of moves for a Game Boy game. I will give them credit where credit is due. They did try their best to put in quite a few moves, and they did give you a few different game modes as well. You obviously have your singles matches that you could do, but you do have tag team matches as well, and even Survivor Series matches. So they give you a few different types of matches you can have, and there's also different forms of the matches. So you can do singles, and you can do just your regular one fall. You can also do brawls, which is basically where you have to just wear out your opponent completely and knock them out. And then you actually have tournament mode. And tournament mode is what you see in a lot of just standard, kind of like 2D fighting games, where you're going through an entire gauntlet of challengers until you get to the very end. And that's basically what's in this game, except obviously it's a wrestling game instead. But you pick your character, and you play against all of the other wrestlers in the game, and you just try to beat them all in one sitting. And that's how tournament mode works. And it actually isn't too terrible. I didn't mind that. But yeah, this game is not going to be for everyone. It's not something I can actually recommend to people, just because, it is very dated. It's going to be a very particular type of game. I'm not going to sit here and be like, this is the most exciting thing ever, and I'm not going to try to hype this game up to be more than what it is. It is a very, simple wrestling game. However, I think they did a decent job with what they had at the time. It's not great. I wouldn't even necessarily say it's good. However, I did have some fun with it. There is some fun to be had with it. There is some cool stuff to notice when it comes to this game, like the sound effects, like the actual music and stuff like that. There's some good ideas with the different types of matches and stuff like that, and the fact that they did give you at least some variety there, and the fact that there's even Survivor Series matches, that is pretty cool. And I do like making my own tag team of these different wrestlers, having Undertaker and Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart and Lex Luger and stuff like that. I do think that stuff's kind of fun. And overall, even though you only have 8 characters, you do get a pretty decent 8 characters. So I'll give them credit for that as well. Overall, WWF Raw is a game that, even though it's not fantastic, it's not even necessarily good, it is still something I enjoyed playing through, and it's pretty cheap. I found this game for about $5, and for $5, I don't regret picking it up. I don't regret the time I've spent with it. And I could even see myself actually playing more of this in the future, just for whenever I get bored and I'm just looking for something really simple and something kind of nostalgic with some wrestlers that I have a lot of respect for. So this is not a terrible game. It's also just not a good game. It's dated. It is a dated video game, but still, for what it is, I still enjoyed it. I will say probably my only other complaint really with the game is that every character does pretty much have the same exact move set. They did at least give these characters' signature moves. So I will say they at least did that. They're kind of odd to use, though, because you have to hold the start button down while you're tapping one of the other buttons, and it's just a very odd way to have to be able to do a signature move, to be able to perform any sort of move. It's just kind of an odd way to have it set up, but that's how it is, and at least they did find some sort of way to have these signature moves in the game, so that is kind of cool. They definitely worked with the limitations of the Game Boy. I still feel like there's some effort put into this game, and while I can't really recommend it because it's definitely dated and a lot of people aren't going to want to play something, that's this slow and is basically just a button masher, for what it is, as a wrestling fan, I enjoyed it. For $5, it's not terrible. It's not good, but it's not terrible. And at least I could see myself playing it in the future still. So I'm happy with it. I mean, it was a cheap game. It was cheap fun. So I'm glad I tried it out at least. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe button down below. I'll talk to you in the next one. You have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.